Hi there. Welcome back to the Mindset Check podcast. I'm your host, Misha McKittrick. This is a podcast where we believe that as you take time for a mindset check, you have more power than you think you do. And we also believe that as we go through life, we need to take time to take care of our minds. How are you doing? Are you taking care of that mind? I'm so glad that you're here with me so that we can dive into that and figure out how you have more power when you do that. Today, it's really cool. We're going to dive into that. And in this first season, if you haven't been following along, we're reading through my journal from when I was 15 and pregnant. It's something that I had an experience about, and I felt compelled to do that, to share this, so that we could walk through. And as we were, diving into the mindset of this 15-year-old girl and all of the things that she was tackling and going through, all the way from being pregnant really young and handling a lot of really tough stuff around that, but also losing my little girl. And there's a lot inside of that we get to walk through inside of mindset. And as we do so, we kind of take apart our mindset on the daily. And so we get to learn and grow together. I'd like to give a little background before we jump into the episode as to who is in the episode so that you guys don't get lost. So Ashley and Gina are pretty much a constant. They're right there next to my ex-husband, Jesse, and how much I, refer to him in my journal. Gina is Jesse's sister and Ashley is her daughter. So Ashley's my niece. Gina is my sister-in-law. And then Tanya is a sister as well. So Tanya and Derek, and at the time when I wrote this, they lived 3 or 4 hours from us. So we don't hear a lot about them in the very beginning entries, but we do hear about them today. And then also there's a woman named Iris that we mentioned in this episode. And Iris is my mom's aunt. And actually what's interesting about this is Iris just barely passed away. So, she's older than my mom. So I don't even know how old she was when she passed, but she lived a long and amazing life. But it's kind of fun that as I sat and was listening with her funeral, I had some memories come up for me with Iris. And, somebody said that she always addressed people saying, how's Misha doing today? Or she would ask, whoever you are, she would put your name there. So she would say how's Paul doing today? Or, how's Rachel doing today? That's how she greeted you. And it was just such a sweet and endearing thing. And it reminded me of all of these times because I took Taylor to her, as her primary care. And so every time I showed up, she supported me also knowing me, right? Because she's my mom's aunt. Anyway, so that was a sweet memory for me. So that's who Iris is when I mention her. And then Kim. We talk about my cousin Kim super briefly because she got married in this episode. But I really only mentioned one line. But in case you're wondering who Kim is, she's my cousin. All right, let's jump in. June 21st, 1994. Last weekend we went to Cedar. Oh, by the way, Taylor is teething. Believe it. She's 2 months and 3 weeks. 12 weeks, in parentheses, and teething. I can't believe it. Most babies get their first at 7.5 months. I guess she's mature for her age. Just kidding. We went with Gina yesterday to Salt Lake to take some papers to Paul's lawyer. His ex-wife wants more money. What a joke. Taylor's first time in Salt Lake, and all she did was sit in her car seat. We might be going to Idaho for the 4th. I miss visiting Tanya and Derek. June 24th, 1994. Well, it turned out that Taylor wasn't teething. We took her to see Iris. P.S. Iris is a family member that is also a PA. And she has strep throat and an ear infection. Ashley had it first, and didn't stay away from Taylor. This weekend we're going to Cedar for Kim's wedding, my cousin. She's getting married in the temple. Oh. The next line says, Misha, I love you, in the cutest little kid handwriting. And she signed it, Ashley. Ashley wanted to write a message. She's 5, and she did it all by herself. Gina and I are going to play softball. I really need to practice on throwing and catching. Even though Taylor's sick, she's still so happy. We still don't know what to do about a car. We're driving my dad's right now. Who knows what will happen. July 8th, 1994. My birthday is next week. Well, we went to Idaho for a whole week, and we're never leaving Taylor that long again. It was a lot of fun, and we went to Yellowstone and saw moose, elk, bear, buffalo, geysers, waterfall, the lake, fox, coyote, deer, geese, pelicans, etc. We went to the Budweiser balloon races. We took the boat and went to the Palisades Lake. It was cold. I got some good ideas for the craft fair, and I think I'm changing my kitchen to watermelons. Taylor got so big while we were gone. Tonight I'm going to give some cereal a try. And I'll see if she starts sleeping through the night again. Gina has me right on the edge. If she claims Taylor one more time, I won't be surprised if I hit her. So much drama. I would seriously never hit her. Oh, I just think that's so funny. Oh my gosh. I think that my favorite thing is this darling, adorable writing with Ashley. Her writing this darling little line, Misha, I love you. And then she signed her name. And the I is lowercase. And it's kind of, shaky and squabbly and beautiful. And it melts my heart because that little girl and I, Ashley and I, we were attached to the hip. We just had so much fun, honestly, raising Taylor together. We had all of these little systems down, and we would say, like, Operation 22, and that meant a bath and a diaper change or something. Like we had all these fun little codes that we talked in, and we would set up little, we would dress Taylor up and set up the scene and take photos of her, and we went on walks together. Literally lived in this tiny town, and there really wasn't very much to do at all. There was like 2 restaurants and 1 tiny grocery store. And anyway, there was just not a lot there. And she really was my buddy. And, I was very close with Gina, and we talked a lot, and I was so grateful for the relationship and also just having that constant with Ashley. Just constant. Every minute that and this is summer, so I guess we were together just a ton. I mean, when she was in school, she'd go to school, and then we were together after school just so much. And we basically played house all day, and it was real. It was real. Like, we really cooked the dinner, and we really did all the things. But gosh, we just love, and still to this day have a really good relationship with Ashley, and just adore her and love her and hold her real close. And Gina too, just so awesome. Yeah, I say I got some good ideas at the craft fair because I just was so into painting and decorating my house with just like whatever I could make with my hands that was somewhat inexpensive. So, go to the craft fair, walk around. I think it's so funny that I did my kitchen in watermelons because I can still remember it. I can still remember all of the things that I found and and bought and maybe like secondhand or whatever and painted them and, just tried to make the very best of this tiny little kitchen that it was great. I made it a home. So it was great. My mom really taught me to paint. She taught me how to do ceramics when I was young. And then when I was pregnant and my due date was coming, we found a crib and we painted it, like my mom and and we painted like all of these designs on it. I remember maybe some precious moments, maybe it was kind of mainly white, but then we painted some designs on it. And it's honestly one of the best memories that I have with my mom. I mean, between that crib and then maybe a year before, we had redone my mom's kitchen and we were kind of painting and stenciling back in the days when you would do that in a kitchen. We stenciled some apples on the wall and we were up until who knows when in the morning. And we were just laughing our guts out because we had gotten so deliriously silly. And that same thing happened when we did the crib, and we were just laughing our guts out into the night because what else do? You start acting funny and crazy and you start laughing at each other. Oh my word. Just some really great memories. And you'll see later on in the story, but that gift of painting and learning how to do that turns out to be really great therapy for me. I also love the bit about Gina and I playing softball. It brought up a couple of good memories for me. When I was a kid, my parents had me play coach's pitch, and I was always the one on the field that was more afraid of the ball. I would put my mitt over my face to protect myself, out in the outfield, because I was so afraid of getting hit by a ball. Completely the opposite of my little sister, right? She was very tenacious on the pitch. I guess that's a soccer term. That's how far removed I've been from softball. But I think remembering back to that time where we were in this little league, this little city league that was going on, and I had this awesome memory of, this is also going to be very telling of how into softball and how good I am. Because I was walking back to my place, in the outfield somewhere. And no, I think I was actually playing third base. This is terrible. But the ball was hit and it was a grounder and it came, and I was just walking back. That's the part that tells you I wasn't even paying attention to the game. But that ball bounced up and landed right in my mitt. I had just caught the ball. Luckily, my instincts are that I just quickly turned around and threw it and got rid of it. But that was just a funny memory that came up as I thought back to that bit of time. And I remember we only played a few games, we played just a little bit of a season, but it was super fun. There's also this part, that I've referred to a couple of times with Gina, and in episode 15, we talk about it a lot. The part where I say, if she claims Taylor one more time, I won't be surprised if I hit her. Oh, and that's how I expressed myself. But I just kind of want to go back to episode 15 and just say, if you didn't listen to that, and if this next little bit resonates with you, then go back and have a listen to that, because it's just something that I've learned as I've gone through life, that sometimes people do say or do things that really get you and you don't express them. And there are very valuable and really cool things that you can do to work through that. So I like to have a couple of sayings in my back pocket that I can pull out to say that expresses how I feel, but in a loving way. And episode 15 is all about that. So yeah, I wish I could have gone back to my 15-year-old self and said, hey, you know what? That really is bugging you. That really is bothering you. So just say something. There's no need for you to bottle that up and to keep that and keep pushing it down and keep pushing it down, and then write in your journal that maybe you're going to explode and hit her, because that really wasn't who I was. But that was like, I mean, I can remember fighting and quarreling with my sisters, but aside from that, I'm not like a girl who walks around and hits people, you know? But I was obviously feeling that and expressing that in my writing. So, to that, I would just say, pay attention. Pay attention to how you are feeling. And if it's a relationship with people are giving you those verbal stabs or doing things to you, there's something you can do about it. So just keep that in mind. What I really want to focus on today is, when I was really describing to you Ashley and I's life and how slow the life was. And in previous episodes, I've wrote, I don't even know what else we can do in this town. There's nothing going on here. And you even go back, to the generation that I grew up in, right? So I'm in my 40s. And when I grew up, life moved a lot slower. And my mindset, inside of all of this that was going on is there were times that I got frustrated, but for the most part, we just made the best of it. And we actually enjoyed the slowness of that life. And now we are surrounded with information and just constantly, we don't always have time to kind of gather in and listen to ourselves, listen to our own inner wisdom. And I think there's a little token towards slow living that I just love to let resonate, because slow living isn't about losing time by going slowly. It's about gaining time by doing things that are the most important to you. Really looking at life from being more focused and being more attentive to priorities and your feelings. And I just honor slow living, because speed does become a form of denial. And sometimes we're feeling things and we don't have time to acknowledge them. We don't even have time to always acknowledge the people in our life that we want to. And 2 weeks ago on the episode, we were talking about meditation. And, because we were really talking about how inside of our brains, sometimes we don't give our brains a break. We don't give our brain a break to be able to slow down, to pay attention to our feelings and our inner wisdom. And I want to touch on meditation for just a little bit today, because it's something that as I've gone through my life, I've grown and learned. And I know there's a lot, it's a buzzword right now. There's a lot going on. A lot of people are telling you to meditate. Well, P.S. there's a reason why. It's a beautiful thing. And our world needs more time to slow down and listen to ourselves. For me, when I started meditation, it was just the part of my yoga class. And I loved yoga so much that I was getting that meditation, like the movement meditation. And then at the end, when we were doing Shavasana, I was getting that. And after doing that for, I don't even know how long, I realized that I started to have more mental calmness and more composure. Like my temper was more even, especially in a difficult situation where I otherwise would have been more reactionary. It helped calm me. It helped level me, And so that's when I really started to understand how much value that there was to it. And I don't know, after 10 years of yoga, I started to legitimately meditate. To really sit and because there's all different types of meditation. So before we jump into the types, I want to share a story with you called The Cup of Tea. There once was a Japanese master who received a university professor who came to him to inquire about Zen. And the Japanese master served tea, and he poured his visitor's cup full, and he kept pouring. And the professor watched the overflow until he no longer could restrain himself, And he said, "It's over full. No more will go in. No more will go in the cup." And the Japanese master said, "Like this cup, you are full of your own opinions and speculations. How can I show you Zen unless you first empty your cup?" And so I'm likening meditation to that, because it allows us time to let go of thoughts that aren't serving us. It allows us time to just sit and pay attention to the things that we're feeling. And it allows us the time to teach our soul to vibrate at a higher frequency. And that can enhance our living. It can ignite our own creative spirits and inspire us. So a lot of people have been kind of frustrated thinking about meditation because they might have a hard time sitting. And sometimes people just have a hard time sitting with themselves. And sometimes people get caught up thinking that meditation should look a certain way, and then they can't get to that. And so then they give up, throw their hands up and walk away. But I think it's important to remember that meditation is not having a quiet or a silent mind. I have this picture of, like a Zen master or a monk, like sitting there with a thought bubble coming up, and the thought bubble is completely empty. And then just like a regular stick figure person sitting right next to them, and their thought bubble is just full of a car and a worried face and weights and money and music and grandparents and kids at school and, right, all the things. So the trick is to remember that meditation doesn't mean that we're not going to have those thoughts. Meditation is that we're going to choose not to engage in those thoughts, right? So that we can get a little bit of space in our brain and give our brain a break. And that we can allow thoughts. We can allow space. We can calm ourselves down. So the same way that when you go to sleep, you don't expect your heart to stop beating or your lungs to stop working, but we don't have to pay attention to them. When you go into meditation, you're not sitting there focused on your heart. Oh my gosh, my heart won't stop beating, because that's the function of the heart. And the function of the brain is to have thoughts. But watch this. If I sit down and I go into meditation and I start to think, oh yeah, dinner tonight. Oh shoot, I got to go to the grocery store. And, and do you see how I started to engage in that thought? Because I'm starting to go into, okay, here's all the lists of things I need, and remember this and remember that. And I'm the one who's engaging in the thought. So remember that in meditation, the art, okay, what we're really trying to achieve is that thought comes up like, oh yeah, dinner tonight. Oh yeah, dinner tonight. And it fades back away. Just the thought rides by like a train and you don't have to get on it. It just comes up and it's okay. You observe it, you see the thought, but you don't have to get in and engage with it. And you also don't have to shut that brain off. Okay? Meditation happens anytime these three things happen. If you can slow down your breath, your mind becomes quiet, and you feel peace. If you can accomplish those things, you're meditating. Whether you're doing a walking meditation, whether you're like my niece, this is what she does. It's beautiful. She just gets in her bathtub and she lights a candle and kind of stares at it and breathes. She's accomplishing all three things. You can meditate while you do art or while you garden. It's what you're allowing when you're allowing your breath to slow down and you're allowing your mind to become quiet and peaceful. There's all different types of meditation. And we could go into those maybe in a different episode. We want to do that and dive into that and take that apart. I would love to know if you're interested. If you are, we can. because there's guided meditations and mindfulness exercise, ways that you can learn to go. Like you can be sitting in your breath, and then when you get carried away in thought, you bring yourself back to your breath, and you're just teaching yourself to be mindful. There's different tactics where you can say different things inside of your mind so that you're not engaging with your thoughts. Yoga, bilateral tones, that's when, oh my gosh, I love bilateral tones. Just a little tip for anybody who really needs help quieting your brain. Bilateral tones are fantastic. They fire, so you listen to them with headphones, and they fire on the right side and then the left side. And when you have your eyes closed and you have your headphones in and these sounds are going back, right and left, what it actually feels like to me is that there's a ball kind of bouncing back and forth in your head from the right side to the left side. And it just gives you something to focus on while you're sitting and gaining peace. And it's relieving anxiety or whatever it is. There's so many great bilateral tones. And I will put links to my favorites in the show notes. So you can click on that and go check out what bilateral tones are. But there are just so many methods. So many methods. And really what it's really doing is helping us to calm, to be able to sit with ourselves, to teaching our brains peace. Like that is a way that we desire to feel. We desire peace. It helps you to not be so reactionary in your life and to be able to hear and listen to your own inner wisdom. Your calm mind is your ultimate weapon against your challenges. When you teach your brain how to exist in that state, you are so much more gathered and able to handle what's in front of you instead of reacting to it. It's a gift. And it's a gift that you get to choose to give yourself. It can change your way of being into a better way. It helps you tame yourself, helps you have breakthroughs, or in like to realms of new thought. I'm now experiencing things with meditation that, they're so fun and exciting, and I'm going to teach you more about them on a different day. I love the quote that says, "The mind is like water. When it's turbulent, it's difficult to see. When it's calm, everything becomes clear." Don't you love that quote? And see how if that's really what you got from meditation, you could see why there's a lot of buzz around it. So it's not just buzz, it's not just hype. It's just, I think that more people are trying it because our world is more turbulent and more people are looking for peace. And so meditation is a place. Meditation is a way, and it's beautiful. And remember how we always talk about messages on this podcast and how we have the ability to receive messages? It's really hard to do that when our cups are full. So taking the time to give our brain a break, allowing a little bit of space to happen inside of our cups so that we can receive more. It's a beautiful thing. And I promise that it's life-altering. It's worth it. And you can start out tiny with 1 minute, and you can build up to 5 minutes, and you could even get to the point where you were meditating for a half hour and an hour, and you wouldn't even know because it was something you craved so much and you wanted so much. But are you going to get benefit from just doing it 5 minutes a day? Heck yes. Heck yes. I'm going to leave you with this quote from Emily Fletcher. She said, "The point of meditation is not to get good at meditation. The point of meditation is to get good at life." And with that, my friend, I hope that you can see that there's one small thing that you can do that will help you have more power in your life than maybe you thought you had. As we finish up, I just want to invite you to some of the community outside of the podcast. You can follow me on Instagram at my friend Misha. you can email me at hello@myfriendmisha.com. And we also have a Facebook group specifically for the podcast. It's just called Mindset Check Podcast. So you can go check that out if you want. Also, one more thing. If you want to support this podcast in moving forward, and you're on Amazon anyway, buying everything in your life, from books to clothing to new things to spruce up your spring, or Easter baskets for your kids, or Valentine's, whatever it is that's coming up for you, if you could just do that through my link, then I'll get a kickback. And it's a way for you to support the podcast. So when you shop, instead of typing Amazon.com, it's as easy and as simple as typing Amazon.com/shop/my-friend-Misha. And Misha is spelled Mesha. I would appreciate that so much. And hey, thank you for letting me walk through a small part of your journey with you today. Remember that as you take time to take care of your mind, your life is easier. I promise. Until next time, my friend.